baby. All right, what is happening? Welcome to the Craft, your weekly pitching podcast. My name is Nick Pollack, and this week, as we prepare for opening day, I want to review the state of the game, the pitches that we are so excited to watch, and who better to bring on than Eno Sarris from The Athletic. What a special guest this is today. Eno, thanks for being here.
I am excited to be here. It is almost opening day tomorrow.
Oh
big live party in San Francisco. For anybody who's listening, you're invited. It's free. Merch, food trucks, collaboration beers. Opening day watch party into live shows at 4:30 at Bear Bottle in San Francisco. Pretty excited about that. I will also appear on your opening day live stream. I'll be the opener.
Right. At playback.tv/pitcherlist, we are doing something insane this year where we were actually able to stream live baseball games. It's not the game day or the StatCast. Like if you have MLB.tv, you link it up with playback, and then you watch the same game as everyone else in chat. So we're doing this for every single time that baseball is on the entire season. We're kicking it off tomorrow, 2:45 p.m. Eastern time. Eno will be there for a brief moment in the beginning before, of course, he goes off to his lovely event that I'm not invited to. And then we're going to have a lot of people.
Not practical for you
to be there. Jason Collette, Foolish Baseball. Mike Curlin will be there. Eric Samolsky. So many people that you know from the industry are going to be at tomorrow's stream. And then you're going to see them a ton throughout the entire year. Paul Sporer, Justin Mason. We're creating essentially that place to watch baseball with other people. Stop watching it alone. It's amazing. And yes, again, you get to watch the live game at the same time as everyone else synced up. No more going to Twitter and be like, oh my God, a home run's hit. Oh, there it goes. Right. And getting it spoiled for you. It's just so cool. So see you guys there tomorrow. But today we got to talk about our favorite pitches that we're excited to watch this year. And here's the thing. We talk about this a ton in the spring training, all these new pitches, all these guys that we're just excited to watch to get on the mound. But it's not always about the pitcher themselves. It's about one specific thing that we're hoping that they do. And I talk about this a lot in my daily SP Roundup articles where I say, hey, is this guy doing this thing that should lead to success or not? And a lot of times one pitch determines how they do on the field. So we want to go over the ones that we're looking forward to the most. And, I know I spoiled one beforehand and you were so upset that I mentioned him because I kind of guessed that you were going to say him. But who is this Mets pitcher that has a pitch that you're looking forward to?
No, actually, let's start with a comeback story. You already also guessed. He guessed 2 of my 5 pitches before he came on air. I will give you the clues because I didn't want to give him any clues, but we're preparing to go on air. And he was like, some of my pitches are like this, some of my pitches are like this. And I was like, well, one pitch is just one we haven't seen in a while, and I was excited to see it. Like, there's no other sort of will he, won't he, none of that. And he was like, is it Sandy Alcantara? And I'm like, yeah. Sandy Alcantara's sinker, because we haven't seen it really for a year, and we've seen it in spring, and we've got some metrics, and we know he's probably back. We know he's 97-ish, but how much will he get to that sort of 97, 8? He had the the hardest sinker in 2023. Will he go and throw the hardest sinker among starting pitchers again? Will that be true? He had the third best stuff plus along with Houck and Wheeler. Will it be, one of the top 3 sinkers in the league, probably the top sinker in the league when you think about volume and velocity and beauty? I mean, I also just love sinkers because, they're like changeups where the movement, you see it, especially with the like weird angle that we get, that's like offset from behind.
Oh, I know.
See it. Yeah, you really see the sinker in ways that, like, one of the hardest pitches I think to see and appreciate is the gyro slider. Sometimes you're just
completely.
You're like, what?
Yeah, we don't have a straight enough angle to really understand that it's going down. And also the arm, you don't get like right behind the arm. Even if it's directly on home plate, the arm is still going to be off to the right going toward that center target, right?
Yeah, so it looks really unimpressive, a gyro slider. But a sinker, you've got that arm side movement, you've got that big shape, and it looks. This is a complicated word, and it's fraught with sort of like people like. I'm not saying that the pitching motion is unnatural. There's something almost it is the pitching motion is actually kind of natural. If you look back, we've thrown rocks, we've thrown javelins. Like it's like it's not like as humans we didn't throw things hard, you know.
Yeah.
But there's something about the sinker that looks almost unnatural. That way that it like, you know what I mean? Like it just
Yeah, of course.
It's like going to the plate.
Direction.
And then it's just like, yeah, it's opposite direction. It goes down. It's just, I love it, and I can't wait for Sandy to be back in the league. Of course, there's you're coming off of Tommy John. A lot of times you lose command. So will he be able to place it? Will he just come back and be who he is? There are guys I think who have sort of come back from Tommy John and just been who they are, and I wonder if Sandy can be one of them. So
I mean, sometimes they're even better than that, right? Like Tarek Skubal, adding 2 ticks for himself. So we have, I don't know if you know this, we have our own PLV Stuff Plus. It's been in beta for a bit, but we're ready to showcase it for the regular season. And I have the live feed already set up for spring training. So I went searching for whatever data we had on Sandy Alcantara this spring, and saw on March 10th we got it. So his 4-seamer actually has I don't know what it is for you. It's an 88.4 PLV Stuff Plus, but the sinker, 119. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
21 inches of ride on that. 21 inches of run. What? I don't think I see that ever. Like I see 19, but 21 at 97? Nice. No one's gonna be able to hit this.
Yeah, we got a 107 Stuff Plus on it. I think the sinker is back.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
Was that more
Sandy,
run
and
than
then
it
you have
used
the
to
change up underneath at 90, 91 at 118 Stuff Plus for us as well. PLV Stuff Plus, and then the slider is up to 124. I've missed you, Sandy. I really have. And I'm wearing my Toby shirt today, which is kind of funny because I'm excited about pitchers, not like the boring Toby. But
he had
should have had Sandy crush on.
He had 18 inches of run in 2023.
Well.
And you said he's getting
21 is what we're seeing for IHB here, induced horizontal break.
Yeah, I mean, what if it's even better? What if he's healthy and it's even better?
I can't wait. And remember also that 2023 season wasn't so good, right? That was worse than Sandy. So it wouldn't be too shocking. But yeah, Sandy Alcantara's sinker is a really good call. I'm going to go with a pitcher in Los Angeles who we also really haven't seen for a while. And there are many elements of what he does that I'm very excited about. But there's actually specifically one thing that I got really excited about, and this is actually even just today that I'm excited about. And the pitcher is Dustin May. I'm just so looking forward to this. We're going to talk about like sinker ride and everything. Like, are you kidding me? He's been someone who's just made Manny Machado go viral for swinging at that 100-mile-per-hour sinker inside with Pitching Ninja. And funny enough, our sinker PLV Stuff Plus from yesterday was not very good. Despite 21 inches of horizontal break, it only had an 85 Stuff Plus. But the highest one we had from yesterday was not his curveball, not his sinker, not Dustin May's cutter, not his changeup. It was the 4-seamer. And he used it also exactly as he should. Dustin May has a 1.4 height-adjusted VAA on that 4-seamer. That is a flat 4-seamer. That is a low arm angle that excels when it's upstairs. And against lefties, Dustin May used to throw sinkers against them. He actually turned it into 4-seamers. And they were effective upstairs, and he had 108 PLV Stuff Plus on this 4-seamer at 95.96. Oh, you think about Dustin May with like, okay, he can't get strikeouts, right? Because he's just the sinker going here and the sweeper going away, which is really a curveball, but it's a sinker, or sorry, it's a sweeper. Can we agree on that, by the way? Like this 85-mile-per-hour curveball that doesn't have depth to it, it's a sweeper, isn't it? Like,
I mean, what Savant is saying is that he has a sweeper and a curveball.
Oh, that's interesting.
But they actually look pretty similar. I'm looking at this right now. What is going on here? This is only spring data, and it's saying that he has one pitch that's called a sweeper that goes 85.4 miles an hour, has 17 inches of glove,
Mm-hmm.
side and -2 vertical movement. And then he
Okay.
has another pitch called a curveball that's 85.3 miles an hour and has 17 inches of glove side and -2 inches of vertical.
That's the same pitch. It's the same pitch.
Yeah, it
I mean, what's
is.
interesting too is a sweeper is a curveball, and everyone goes, "What are you talking about, Nick?"
I mean, the grip is a curveball,
The
right?
grip is a curveball. It's just a lower arm angle. I've been talking about this with Rich Hill. That but his curveball is a slurve. It just goes this way, and that's why I've always hated slurves because it's all a
This is a
curveball
bit of
grip.
a slurve though, because some sweepers
You
don't
know?
have this -2 inches of vertical movement.
Sure.
Some sweepers have more ride.
Right. So that's I think about more about wrist placement of the grip. So like
Mm.
how's as it's coming out, are you completely doing throwing the pizza where you're completely showing your two fingers to the batter as you go across the baseball? Or
Mm.
are you getting a little higher on that wrist and getting more of that karate chop motion as you come out of it? I I don't know, but this is clearly like the same pitch.
It looks
And
pretty much the same pitch. I mean,
and
I
it's
think a lot
interesting
is going to be
for
maybe on his
yeah,
cutter, because if the sweeper and the curve are the same pitch, then he's four seam sinker sweeper, and he's going to need
something more
something
against lefties.
against lefties. I mean,
Right.
the
So he's tried the
changeup
changeup. The cutter
looks
is exactly
okay.
what you're talking about. The interesting thing, and it's like Landon Ropp almost of like having that like gas station in between
Oh yeah,
the
this is like Lana
sinker
Roop
and the
with
sweeper.
like two more ticks.
Right. So the four seamer excites me because I considered him very much like those Will Warren, Clark Schmidt, Michael King types that don't really have a four seamer they can rely on. And it's about, okay, cool. You got to figure out how to get out
But this
lefties.
might be good.
But this four seamer, because it's flat and it's at 95, 96, this actually works. And it worked in this game yesterday for Dustin May. So
We
now, like, oh my gosh, it's a Dodgers pitcher correctly using their four seamer upstairs.
and we did something in our model that recently that affects what the model might think of him, especially his four seam, which is yeah, I'm seeing we have a 119 stuff plus for his four seam this spring, and that is arm angle agnostic because we don't have arm angle in the spring. And I'll have a little bit more on that later. But what we did do was we put into the model their previous fastball mix, and what that does is it tells you. So like Adam Ottavino reached out to me and was like, "Why is my four seam stuff plus so good?" And I was like, "Well, given your previous selection of pitches, they expect the sinker."
Right.
So it's complicated because that means that it's not agnostic. You can't tell Adam Ottavino, don't throw the four seam more. He's like, I was just interested because my four seam is performing really well, but the raw stats are bad, and then your
Right.
stuff plus says it's good. And I'm like, yeah, it's only good about where you use it, because if you use it more,
Yeah.
the stuff plus will go down,
Maybe
and
maybe
that's a
there's
little
like a
bit.
potential stat you can have. Like, is this 100% potential? Or
Well,
like,
yeah, because the fun part is we can change what we tell the model. So we could say,
Mm,
let's just dial into the model. Let's say, what if he threw 20% four seamers? What would the stuff plus be? Because we can just tell the model
right.
he's thrown 20% four seamers. What would it be? Then the stuff plus would go down. So you can actually. It can give you an expected stuff
Huh.
plus in a way if you play with it. What
Well,
it's not telling you though is this, and that has made the model more predictive because it's standing in the box with the hitter and it's saying, Adam Ottavino, I see that arm angle. He has a great sinker. I'm thinking sinker. If
right.
you then throw the four seam, you're like, whoa, what was that?
Right.
So it's made the model more predictive, and it's stood in the box more with the pitcher,
Man.
with the batter, but it's not telling you what the true talent of the pitch is.
Right.
The true talent of Adam Ottavino's four seam is not good.
So okay, so I'm just having this in my head right now of what a really fun idea is just having a chart that is of the mixes, right? Of just and correct me if I'm wrong, you're saying four seamer versus sinker, and that's really it? Or are you including
I
cutter in
think we
there, or
might
is it
have
just those
cutter in
two?
there. We think we
Okay.
might have cutter. It's the
So
three
just having a
pitch,
bell
what their mix
curve,
has been.
just a bell curve that is for each individual pitch that is saying, hey, if this makes up, you assume the same ratios of the others. So
Yeah.
like if you throw like 40% sinkers and 20% cutters, then if you take away 10%, then it becomes like, or 20%, I don't know.
Yeah, you could like
understand.
rerun
Relatively
the
takes it
model.
down.
You could like rerun the model
Right.
each time.
So that's
just
what I'm saying. So
changing
you
it.
can create a bell curve, or like you can create a chart of like, okay, cool. Assuming four seamer percentage is 100%, it does 0. Where
Yeah.
is the peak stuff? Right.
Right.
And that actually will also say, great, at 100%, we have the ultimate true neutral.
Yeah.
Because this is all they throw. This is it. We have nothing else backing it up, influencing it, right?
It's like almost like original Nick Pavetta.
Yeah. Oh man, that was an interesting
Right.
time.
The original, just all four seam guy. I think that teams are probably doing this because they really dial in. They'll have a guy throw a new pitch, but they're not saying, "Well, you have a sinker now, just like whatever, like throw it."
Yeah.
Like how much would Jared Jones have thrown the new sinker? How much would these guys who are adding sinkers? How much are they throwing it? They're not throwing it a ton. And more on that later. I actually have the most thrown new pitch is one of my pitches.
Oh, I was about to say most thrown sinker. You're going to talk about Jack Juan's sinker? Oh my gosh.
No, most thrown new pitch.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, Jack Juan's like, what if he threw a four seam? If he threw a four seam, it'd probably be pretty crappy by movement.
Right.
But
it's a surprise.
If he threw it 5% of the time, might be good.
Zach
Eflin
threw it
10% of the time,
example of this.
Not as good. If he threw it 20% of the time, whoa,
right.
stop throwing that thing.
Right, exactly. Zach Eflin throws his four seamer like 10% of the time, but it's only in 2 strikeouts.
Yeah,
and
so I think
you get away with that for a season. Probably not again because the guy's like, well, it's going to be a four seamer versus the fastball now. But
just to bring it back to May, right? Like,
yeah.
I feel like right now he's throwing it 50% of the time that he throws the sinker. So he's throwing the sinker 40% of the time, throws the four seam 20% of the time. His is 95.6 and has 8 inches more ride than his sinker, right?
Right.
So I think this is a good mix. I don't think he should throw the four seam more than this. I think the sinker is his best fastball.
I agree.
But there's lefties to deal with. There's all this. I think this is a good enough fastball that he can handle 20%. And the model says this is a good fastball. And
I'm so excited.
Yeah, this is a good one.
So
I teased it. Should I do it?
Yeah, of course.
The number one by percentage. These are tracked pitches in the spring that have data. So there's all sorts of pitches that are not.
So this is the number one most thrown new pitch, right?
Number one most thrown new pitch, and this is by percentage. So within the pitchers, and they didn't throw it, more than 5% of the time last year. This year, this person is throwing it 20% of the time this spring.
Okay, so this is, and what pitch type is it?
If I tell you, you might know right away.
Well, I mean, I already think I know what it is.
It's a sweeper.
Oh, it's not
new sweeper. The pitcher's throwing it 20% of the time this spring.
Throwing a sweeper 20% of the time this spring. I mean, I know Richard Fitz, I think I didn't really throw one last year, but maybe he's throwing one out. No, maybe it's the same team. It's like Bueller or something. What we got?
Max Meyer's sweeper.
Oh, dang it. Oh, of course. I'm more interested in his slider, but yeah, keep going. I actually have Max Meyer's.
Well, the slider is probably his better pitch. That's the pitch he grew up with. That's the pitch he was drafted on.
It's harder now, though.
Yeah.
I want to see if that actually really turns it up a notch.
It's an end around of saying I'm interested in him as a pitcher, but
yeah, right.
That's fun. One of the things that we just talked about whether or not Dustin May's pitch was a curve or a slurve or a sweeper, and Max Meyer has 11 inches of glove side run, so he has 6 inches less than Dustin May, and he has 4.4 inches of Y. So that's 2 more inches of drop than Dustin May. So if we thought that Dustin May's curve was slurvy, this is pretty slurvy.
Yeah.
And maybe it'll work. It's certainly good for him to have another breaking ball because he's had the hard breaking ball and this is the soft breaking ball. If it's a slurve, it's a slurve. If it's a sweeper, it's a sweeper. It's classified as a sweeper. It's the most thrown new pitch. I just think it's so weird that Max Meyer has a 19% career strikeout rate. And this spring, when he's changed so much about what he throws, I mean, he's changed the ride on his four seam. I think he's added a sinker. He's added a sweeper. He's throwing the slider 2 ticks harder. And his spring K percentage is 0.6% better than his regular 19.6 in the
I didn't even
spring,
realize
19 for his
that.
career. I mean,
That's
Max
so
Meyer,
funny.
you might do all these things, come in and just be a little bit luckier and just be an okay guy. But it's an okay guy who pitches in Florida and
No.
Miami.
Yeah. I mean, I hear what you're saying completely. I think we'd both agree that I think you're just giving a suggestion. It's just kind of funny of like 19.6% versus
Yeah.
19. But what we often do see, and this is kind of the thing with Job, I think, is when guys show up in spring and they have these new things, they haven't quite figured out how to use them yet,
Yeah.
right? And so part of that process of like, cool, I'm trying to get strikeouts. Well, really, you're not really trying to get strikeouts that much in the spring. You're trying to figure out what can get strikeouts necessarily. What am I supposed to work on today
Or get
when I throw
whiffs
this,
or yeah.
right? And that might be something cool. Season starts, we begin to see what the actual game plan is and how these things come together. And throwing this slider that was already like obviously the best pitch for Max Meyer, and then adding two ticks to it without losing much movement on it. I mean, I was really surprised to see that part. It's very similar,
It's
and then
really
having
close to a
extra sweeper on
0-0.
top, I
It's a
think is
1.5 minus 1.
right.
It's a 0-0 gyro slider at 90 miles an hour. This should
And
be really good.
I love it. With the better four seamer coming in a tick harder, with the sinker now as well, with that embraces the lower arm angle. That's a good
I'd almost
thing.
call this, yeah, but the sweeper, as much as I want to call it a slurve, it's 86.6
Yeah,
miles
right.
per hour.
That's
So
just yeah.
that's
just
more
so good.
sweeperish velo, and
Excited.
most sweepers over 85 miles an hour are good. I mean, that's what Sonny Gray said. He said, I stopped chasing the movement as much as I wanted the velo on that.
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, that makes sense. Well, that's a good pick with Max Meyer. I had his slider on my list, and I'll even go to Jackson Job's curveball now, because I think this is the same kind of conversation of, hey, where are the whiffs? Where is the dominance from Jackson Job? Right, he's this big time prospect throwing 97. He has this absurd stuff plus curve and cutter. Really, the curve is for us is I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's great, and he isn't getting these strikeouts. So watching him, I think that there's again that blueprint for success that he hasn't executed quite yet, where that curve, which is too plain and just stupid good, isn't being used enough right now. While the cutter locations and four seamer locations to right hander is not great, but then against lefties, he's actually executing his game plan really well. It's the Blake Snell blueprint of four seamers up, changeups and cutters down, and I think that as the season goes on, you're going to see Job really embrace this curve because it is so filthy. It's one of those breaking balls that you normally see at like 75 or something, 77, but it's like 82. And I just know that he's going to lean into that a ton and then really find the groove of like, when do I throw a cutter, when I throw a four seamer against right-handers, and everything's going to come together. But I think it does rely on that curve more than I would like. So I'm really going to be keying in on that pitch early on. And yeah, I'm just excited. We finally get Jackson Job in the rotation. Thank you, Tigers. So appreciate
Yeah. The only wrinkle I can throw on this is that we have a great stuff plus number on it in spring, the curve 125, and of course, just like always before, we love all of his pitches. The stuff plus loves all his pitches, even his sinker and change, which don't register that well, or like 98, 99 stuff plus in the spring. It does seem like he's more of a breaking ball guy, where he throws the cutter, the sweeper, this new curveball. And so I think he's going to be a 3 breaking ball guy that, throws just enough sinkers and changes to make it a 5-pitch mix. I think he'll dial down the changeup usage, actually. At least that's what the model would suggest him to do.
Yeah. I think it was something he was working on yesterday. He threw 10 of them, for example.
Right. And he's thrown 30 this spring where he's only thrown 26 curves. The one thing I would say is we have the sort of this model, the throwing out like expected swings now, because we've separated the model into a swing model, a take model, and so on and so forth. He has a very low expected swing number on that pitch on the curve, 32% swing rate. And so I would just expect, or actually, and by Stuff Plus, so that's the pitching plus expected. By Stuff Plus, the expected swing rate is 30.8. So like that's a really low swing number. So he's going to probably have to learn to use it to get called strikes.
Yep.
Which means that he has to command it well.
Right.
And he's so far his location plus has been good, but with a new pitch, maybe sometimes the lag is, can I land it in the zone when I want it to? And can I land it in the zone when I want it to without it looking like a lollipop?
Right.
There are guys who can kind of lollipop something into the zone 0-0, and they can get away with that for a while. I think Kyle Hendricks used to do that with his curve. It's like just, try to steal a strike with it. Yeah. But if it's not that great of a pitch, then if you do it too often, then hitters start to put that in the scouting report and be like, hey, every once in a while he's going to lollipop like an easy to hit curve. So you could just sit curve 0-0 one time, and if it's not curved, just take it and see what happens. If it is curved, maybe hit a homer. So that's where the finesse comes in, and just looking at the expected swing strike, which kind of incorporates getting them to actually swing.
Right.
Job's best pitch is his four seam, actually. And I think that might actually explain some of.
Yeah, because it's a 94 PLV Stuff Plus for us, and he doesn't have extension. It's 6.3. His vert actually yesterday was 16, but at 96.
I don't know if this is true. This is true in the spring at least. But if his best pitch is his curveball, I mean his four seam in general, then that might explain a little bit of why there's not as many whiffs.
Right.
Because just generally you throw your fastball a lot, and they don't get as much. They don't get as many whiffs, and you might end at bats early with pop ups and other sort of things.
That's so interesting.
That could keep your ERA low and your K percentage low a little bit.
I love this. This is fantastic, and I remember seeing a chart of this expected swings on curveballs. I remember seeing Aaron Nola's all the way in the top right corner, just like expected swing versus whiff. And Aaron Nola was there, and then Cole Reagan's was really low. And it's like, right, every time he throws that curveball, nobody does anything to it. And there's something to be said about throwing a curveball that is easier to identify out of the hand than others. Gallons, for example, is the true death ball. I'm sorry, Jeff Passan, you got it wrong. It wasn't Jordan Montgomery's in that World Series.
Gallons just goes straight out and then straight down.
Right.
There's no hump really. It's just
right. And it does seem that Jackson Jobs then has this hump, has these characteristics that would be a low swing.
Yeah, that's
chance.
what the model's saying at least. Yeah,
right. So this has me thinking a lot of things. Of one, it is interesting to say like, hey, this guy throws 96. Yeah, that's not his. That actually isn't his most effective pitch. It is in expected swing strike rate, but it's because, of course, swing rates are as high as they are, which then tells me that that's what guys want. That's what guys are going up against Jackson Jobe. They're gearing up for that heater, and they need to, they're going after that. And
we have 17 vert for the spring, which is, it's not dead zone, but it's slightly above average, but it's not right. Great. And it's 97, but if you gear up for 97, you can hit it.
But the thing is, if you have this cutter that is effective as a strike pitch at
which is
90,
it's a bit of a slutter.
Right. Oh no. That term. I'm scarred from that term, not just because of what it sounds like, but it's the reason why sweepers are designated as ST. Mike Petriello informed me on this. It's because the code in Baseball Savant was ready to go for slutters, and they stopped because of obvious reasons. And then then they had to do sweeper. They're like, well, we already wrote this thing for ST. You want to just use that? Like, yeah. And that's why.
Well, I mean, I just say it's not a gyro slider because 0-0 is a gyro slider. He has 6.5 inches of glove side movement, and it's not a cutter because cutters usually have 8, 9, 10 inches of ride, and he has 1.
Right.
So it's a power slider. You can just call it a power slider.
Power slider. That's so much better. Oh, that sounds good. Yeah, power
slider. Yeah. I mean, it's 89 miles an hour, and Has
Great.
something in common with cutters. I mean, that's his best secondary, but it's also not the type of pitch that would create a ton of whiffs. So you see, it's like already okay. His two best pitches are not necessarily the profiles of pitches that create a lot of whiffs.
So I guess what I'm trying to think about is how do we, if we're saying cool, they're going after the fastball, and that means also with the power slider, they're either making contact on it because it's too close to the fastball, or there's just more characteristics of that reduce it. How do you change how batters approach Joe?
How do you get whiffs if you're
cutting? And that would be, sounds like to me, is the pitch backwards more. Make the four seamer more of the surprise than in the baseline.
Yeah.
Because you do have this really nice changeup and curveball and cutter. You can surprise with sinkers in there too. The sweeper, which is hilarious. We have that at 3 thrown from yesterday, and sweepers are always going to be a little weird in our models. I think they were with yours too, because of like Ohtani's was the baseline initially. You're like, oh, okay.
It doesn't look that great. I mean, it has less glove side movement than his curveball.
But it has it at 213 PLV stuff plus.
Yeah, the model always loves the sweepers.
It's so stupid. And okay, I always just kind of knock it away. I'd be like, okay, sweeper, get out of here. Sorry, ST. You want to make a statement, I get it, because ST, I get it. But anyway, that might be actually how Joe figures that out. And
it's also possible the model is undervaluing the changeup a little bit, because 16 inches of arm side movement, 5 inches of vertical, like that should be good by it's a good power changeup. So
we've spent a lot of time on Joe.
Yeah, that's true.
And I want to move on to your next one. Probably that Mets pitcher, but we're going to talk about him after this break. A little late, my bad. Who is this mystery Mets pitcher, Eno?
No, it's not a Mets pitcher.
What?
You're going to keep talking about that, and I'm going to just use him last. Here's a pitcher. Here's a pitcher.
We'll think about what Mets
Here's a pitcher we've already seen. I'm still excited to see it because
what do we got?
I can't figure it out. Roki Sasaki's four-seamer. So we've talked about it a little bit, and I don't, but we now have some major league data.
Yeah.
And so there's the good, 97 miles an hour.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
The extension, which we've talked about, what is it going to be? What's it going to be? 7. It was good. 7.
It was what Lance Brzezowski reported, and props to him for doing that.
Yeah, especially because he got some blowback with people being like they don't do it right all the time. It's not, you can't trust extension numbers from Japan, and it's like, well, 7 feet. Yeah. And that turns out to be important, because if you take extension out of the comps and you just say, give me that 11 inches of arm side movement and that 14 inches of vertical, who else has it? I'm sorry to say,
no,
Johnny Brito.
Oh,
and Johnny Brito's good pitch is a sinker, so this is not Johnny Brito's good fastball. the other person that is almost a dead knock for it, except a slightly different release point, but very close with that extension, Carmen Mlodzinski.
Oh, number 5 for the Pirates, who's really a reliever,
and also whose better fastball is a sinker. So not good news so far. If you put extension back in, then you get a little bit closer actually to someone we do like.
Okay, so hold on a second. Okay, I think I know this, because after Lance Brzezowski's video, he was doing a comp, and I texted him, hey, I think Roki Sasaki's best comp is Garrett Crochet.
Oh. I don't know why I didn't use him. I think actually Garrett Crochet has too much vert.
Okay. Yeah, it's like 14. Great. It's like 14 and change. This is 13.1 is what we saw.
Right, well, why didn't I use Garrett Crochet? Let me look over it.
But like 7 inches of extension, 7 feet of extension, 97, 98. We saw 98 in this one at 7.1 extension because I'm sure he was amped.
Alex Chamberlain's leaderboard is going to reboot. Never mind. I did actually. Crochet was like on the list, but this is the best comp.
Okay.
Gavin Williams.
Yeah. Well, I've called him the right-handed Crochet. Okay, cool.
Gavin Williams, 7.2 inches of extension. So better extension, but not worse extension. All the other ones had worse extension, right? So better extension. Roki Sasaki's 6.1 feet vertical release.
Mhm.
Gavin Williams 5.9. So Gavin Williams is better, but
Right.
it's similar. It's also 15 inches of vert to 13.6, so 15 to 14, like an
Mhm.
inch. So Gavin Williams' fastball is better, but it's pretty close. I mean, 11 inches on our side, 7 point, like the extension's close. So if he's Gavin Williams with the fastball, that's pretty sexy because the fork or whatever
The
the
splitter
splitter looks
versus the
great.
curve slash slider and everything too with Gavin.
The
Also, actually on
slider's
my
not.
list was seeing if Gavin
I mean,
Williams
I'd
was better with the
rather. I
slider.
think I'd rather have Gavin Williams
I
honestly
I
because it's
actually
like
have Gavin
the
Williams ranked
fastball's
higher than
better.
Sasaki rather.
Yeah, yeah, the
Um,
fastball's better. He's got the power slider. He's got the curveball. He's got breaking balls. Um, I don't know, but at least we're not talking about Johnny Brito and Carmel Mudzinski.
at least
That
we
would
are
be
not.
bad.
That is a very, very good point. I want to share something actually. The big difference for me with Roki versus Gavin Williams, and I think I can do this with style, is I'm going to add this to the stage.
Sharing. There we go.
And this is the pitch plot from the Japanese game. And you will see something that is very common for me to get upset about.
Why can't he locate that
fastball.
high to righties? What is
You
going on?
can't do it. And I think that it hurts him a ton. And you also kind of see that with Roki
Is that
Sasaki.
about targets? Because he can't locate it. He can't locate it glove side up.
Yeah.
He doesn't even trying
and
really.
the
Even
other
against
element,
lefties, he's not trying.
the other pitch that I've been talking about with Gavin Williams is I'm really excited to see the cutter. He reported to Eric Samolsky at spring training saying that he's saving the cutter for the season, which I think when it comes to being an extension guy, you need the second pitch to be one that looks just like it and takes advantage of the tunneling. So usually for lefties, that's their changeup. And for a lot of righties, it turns into their cutter. Instead of their slider, slider is a little easier than the harder cutter. That is just kind of like, well, the timing's right there. I got to go for this. That's how Garrett Crochet really does it, right? So I'm excited for that for him. But with Sasaki, he doesn't really show another look. I mean, there is the splitter, absolutely. And I think that's why the splitter gets as many whiffs as it does. Because at this extension, it's like, all right, I'm just going to gear up for the heater. Until Sasaki has something in between that is also a strike pitch that looks like the four-seamer, I don't think we're going to see those whiffs on it. We're going to see the whiffs on the splitter and not the four-seamer, right?
And it's also a little bit unfortunate there's no bridge pitch here. I think like you go back to it real quick.
Right.
Yeah, go back to it real quick
Sure.
because if you could see like, okay, if I've got a pitch that kind of moves that way and is super hard, that's what I'm looking for. And anything else is going to drop off that, and I might be able to see that quickly. You know, might be able to see it before my decision point where I'm gearing up for the fastball. I'm go. And as soon as I see that sort of dropping at all, you know, off of that in terms of movement, and then like probably like a low fastball at 97, like if it's down at the knees, I don't want to swing at that either. So you're really just looking for it up off the bottom of the zone and not dropping.
Well, that's the thing is like, I know I understand you can go the Gallon approach, right? Of these low four-seamers and then splitters underneath it. I get that. But I think that means that guys are just going to be swinging a ton of that four-seamer down low, right? And that's not really
and
what
we
you want.
saw hard contact.
Yeah.
All spring. So I'm just fascinated by this. It's doesn't really have a great comp out there.
So I would say that
Gavin Williams, but he's a breaking ball guy, and he's definitely not. He has he might actually have a little bit of the touch of Gossman on the splitter. He has really good touch on the splitter.
Oh yeah,
but I don't know that he's going to be throwing it for strikes a lot, and he still throws the fastball a lot, and his fastball is worse than Gossman's.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. I mean, he doesn't spot it nearly as well as Gossman does.
Yeah.
There's also the interesting thing about how the splitter. This is actually something I want to clarify. There's a lot of confusion about Roki Sasaki in this splitter. And like, what is going on? You have one that's over here, and then one that's over here, right? Yeah. That is two different locations for it. And some are saying it's like a slider / splitter.
Slightly two different movements. Yeah.
Well, one right. So I can actually, I think I can clear this up. This is something that I dealt with also, because I used to throw a splitter, guys. And I think what's so cool about Sasaki is that
and now you hate them.
Now I hate, I have a relationship with them. I understand nuance, you know.
I'm just
Unbelievable. The
kidding.
things I got to deal with. Okay. So what I want to show you guys here is that's not the right one. That's the right one. Is when you're throwing a splitter, how you come off of the ball affects its movement. So if you're doing equal pressure on both index and middle finger, or whatever the two fingers you're using, you're going to keep it straight. You're going to keep it so that it doesn't tilt. It's think of it like a knuckleball. You don't want it to really change that rotation. However, sometimes I certainly did this, is I accidentally put too much pressure here, and all of a sudden I'm getting some
On the middle
small
finger?
slider spin, right? And it's coming off differently. And that will change it. If you're really consistent on keeping it down like this, you'll have that same rotation going down. But if you come across on the side, if you get a little bit on the side of it, it will change its movement. Focus on one finger more than the other, right? It's supposed to be something that's consistent on both sides and it can tilt. And it seems like Sasaki is actually controlling it a little bit because there isn't like a bridge.
There was a piece on Baseball Perspectives that was suggesting that he can do that.
Right, which is
So
awesome because he does
throws
look
like a
he's
more
doing that.
slidery splitter, and then he throws them.
He's just coming off the side of it more as opposed to staying straight down, which is really cool. So that's fun about Sasaki. But yeah, I actually have it listed here for me. It was the fourth pitch, the one we haven't seen from Sasaki. That's the pitch I can't wait for because I know something's going to show up. He's not going to be the slider. Slider's so inconsistent. Sometimes
like
looks
a cutter or something.
Can't do it.
Four seam or sinker. Sinker, yeah.
Whatever it is, it's going to appear at some point, and I'm going to get really hyped for that. Moving to another elite pitcher, I'm going to say Jacob deGrom's changeup. Because, yes, we know him as a four-seam slider guy, and I remember this famous quote, which I think about a ton, which is, well, I kept throwing my curveball and my changeup, and then I would allow a hit on it, and I would go, why did I throw that? My fastball and slider are just much better. And he stopped doing it. But yesterday, we saw Jacob deGrom at 96. I know. My gosh, my pearls are clutched. But he should be a 97. That's my expectation.
He also said he might be pitching slower on purpose.
Well, yeah, not 99 and 100 was that quote to 97, which I'm like, that's fine. Everything's fine. His command on against the righties was amazing. Sliders down away and four seamers away. And what was so fun was to see, I think it was 12 changeups with 4 whiffs on it to lefties. And they're all spotted down and away. Like these weren't, a lot of times we see guys throw changeups more. It's just like, well, there's one over here and there's one over there. And it's way out, oh, there's a couple good ones. It's like, no, deGrom's like, all right, I'm just going to throw a changeup now. And this is life. And that's, oh my gosh, as if he needed another weapon. But it does seem like this is what he's going to
more
do.
Drop than his four seam.
That's insane. And what is he throwing it at? It's like 88?
88, yeah. So it's a power change. It's almost,
but with massive drop to it and spotted.
Yeah, it's not a splitter because it has 13 inches of arm side movement. It's a power change. It's like, it looks a little bit like the Grank.
Oh, yeah. If Granky also threw 98 or whatever.
Yeah.
But you're right. So like, I just want to make this, put this on people's radars of, hey, deGrom is now doing this thing that I think is just going to continue his success. I'm excited.
The one thing that makes me worried, from that same start was just that, command, like there are studies that show the command does not come back first. And so, I don't know. He has such great command that maybe he cannot have A+ deGrom command and be all right. But like that, he threw a fastball to, I think it was like an 0-2 or 1-2 fastball to Sal Perez that you don't want. It was like 2 inches outside the zone. It's Sal Perez who swings at everything outside the zone.
Oh yeah, right.
It's like, I was like, I think he wanted that up and like 3 inches out more. I think he missed that spot by a fair amount. Then again, if you go spot chasing and you're like, oh, he missed a spot, you quickly realize how often they miss their spots.
And the thing is, like, deGrom is generally, like, even against right-handers, he doesn't miss these, like, arm side,
Yeah.
Like,
it was a glove side miss. This one was a glove side miss.
Right? He generally nails it. And, like, I talk about pitch separation a lot. I love seeing strike zone plots where it's just, like, green is over here, yellow is over here, and red is over here. That's, to me, a sign of just insane command. If you're just generally clumping each of these together. And then there's a question of like, all right, is that the right place to clump them? Should there be more variety? Should there whatever? But that you can do what you want at that point.
Yeah,
It
the
might maybe those
Grom's
small
four
misses.
seam
Yeah.
fastball heat map. There's two clumps. One is inside to righties. One is inside to lefties.
Yeah.
And then there's another one that's like maybe the swinging strike one that's like just about like just at the very top of the zone.
Yeah. And it really, I can't express enough. He just made a circle around down and away to lefties with the changeup. So I think you guys should be paying attention to the DeGrom changeup. It's looks like it's kind of real, and that's just another fun thing to watch.
Oh yeah, look at those changeups. It's beautiful.
See,
And they're not in the dirt either. They're like
no.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
I was just annoyed because I was like, "Are you watching this? It's great." And then I was like, "Why are they scoring runs?"
Well, I also don't think that DeGrom's going to throw 96.
Hmm.
I think he's actually going to be throwing 97. Like, let's be honest.
I think he was annoyed. He threw something like 96 and a half, and someone hit it. India hit it to like the warning track for the first pitch of the game, and I think he was kind of like, "All right, am I really going to do this, or I'm going to throw as hard as I can?"
But he's being smart about it. He's ramping in more. It seems like too. He's the fourth starter, not the first, second, right?
Plus, it's spring. How much does DeGrom care about a spring game?
Right, and that's the thing too. I mean, he big leagues everyone, including spring. Okay. Oh gosh. All right. We're gonna move on to his former team. Finally, I hope, unless you got another one. But we're gonna talk about.
I'll leave my last one to be a full surprise at the end.
Okay, good. We'll talk about that after this break. All right, Eno. We've teased it the entire episode. Who is this Mets pitcher, and what is the pitch?
Well, just the backstory on what I was talking about earlier about the model is that we had this situation where there's some data in spring you don't have, and so like arm angle is not really there, and so we had to tell our model to be like, hey, it's okay, run without this one piece of information. Be 9/10 as good as you are normally, right? And so to do that, we told it, don't worry about nulls, don't worry about zeros, right? Unfortunately, what happens is in the database, if AJ Smith-Shawver pitches in a place where there is absolutely no StatCast, they still fill it in. So he still appears just no information for every pitch. And so the model was just like, I'm going to make things up. And it was like, AJ Smith-Shawver has a 39 stuff plus. And you're like, and then somebody I think Nestico came into the Discord and was like, how do you have a stuff plus number for AJ Smith-Shawver? And so asked the modelers, and they're like, oh, that's interesting. It's just making it up. So we had one where it's basically, we had to tell it, accept nulls, don't accept entire nulls. Like, don't accept like a pitch that has no information, please, And so I just was able to clean up Stuff Plus and rerun it. And I'm looking at a per pitch type one. This is interesting. Griffin Jax's curve, which he threw 28 times, is number one by spring training Stuff Plus. But the name that really popped off, Casey Mize is there, but we've talked about him a million times. We don't have to talk about it again. And we've talked about Tyler McGill a million times. But the flip side is that so much depends upon this four-seamer.
Yes.
And to have this four-seamer come out of spring training with a similar Stuff Plus to Taj Bradley's four-seamer, Lucas Urseg's four-seamer, even Gavin Williams' four-seamer is behind Tyler McGill's. And this is just a straight schedule play. Pretty good. I'm starting him against Houston. I know that's not the best, but there's a lot of home in Tyler McGill's future. I love his home park. I love him with 140 Stuff Plus on his four seam. That's a spring number. It's not going to be 140 during the regular season, but it seems like he's in good shape.
Location plus on that four seamer.
What is the location plus on that four seamer?
Because I'm going to say this really quick. Not
84.
Good. So here's I think we actually did a podcast before about like high stuff, low location guys. And with Tyler McGill, he's an extension boy, like 7.4 or something amazing, throwing 96 at times. And you just go, dude, you're throwing what? This is amazing.
And that's what he's doing. He's throwing 96 right now with 16 inches of vert. And
but like the whole picture is needs to be like great, like Bailey Ober does. Okay, cool. Well, actually, Bailey Ober hasn't, and that's another story. But like generally is like four seamers go upstairs, and then the changeup comes underneath here, and the cutter goes on the other side like that. But damn, done. I make baseball happen. And Tyler McGill is like, oh, cool, fastball, boom. Oh, where did that one go? Okay, cool, great. I'm going to try and go upstairs, but then maybe do the slider and cutter or curve and splitter. But it all doesn't. It's very much of a it's a meal that hasn't been cooked yet, right? It's the ingredients, and he hasn't really
Can I
made an
share my
approach that
screen?
works and sticks.
Oh
In my
no,
opinion.
why don't you just show his if you have do his pitch
Oh
plot?
yeah, oh yeah, I do have that. I also
Because I'm
want to
looking at
mention
it right
too.
now, and there are
Yeah.
definitely at least 3 or 4 waste pitches in a sample that only has 75 pitches. I don't know. It doesn't look that terrible to
Well,
me,
actually,
but
the last game was the most encouraging. It's like he has it, but it's like truncated to the middle,
yeah,
and then he
it's
just
it's
needs to like
not.
expand out, you know?
He's
And I
not
want to
good
believe
at
that.
hitting the top of zone. Like
Right. You
there's
need
a
to
little
like
bit of a heat
actually
map
not get
there,
that.
but
Yeah.
his best place that he can throw the four seam is low and inside to the lefties.
Low
So
and inside to the lefties
that's where
is the
he's
best
throwing it the
place.
best. I'm saying the best for him and outcomes. It's just that's where he's able to replicate it the most.
Oh no.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I was
It's
like,
not
that's the
ideal.
danger zone. That's like the danger zone.
Yeah,
That's not what
yeah.
we want.
No.
I don't have that on quick call just because I don't remember what day he pitched last,
Oh
Tyler
yeah.
McGill.
Oh yeah.
But maybe it was Saturday. I will say, you want to know something that's kind of funny that you say, oh, we already talked about this guy? This random person pitched yesterday, and they had a 122 PLV stuff plus on their slider and a 67 PLV stuff plus on their four seamer. That was Casey Mize.
Wow.
What do you
God,
have
our
from
models are
yesterday?
so divergent, man. Spring. I don't know. I'm feeling a little. I didn't in my ranks. I didn't put spring stuff plus model in the
Mm-hmm.
numbers in the ranks, and some people were like, "Can you put them in?" Then I'm like, I don't
Yeah,
want
well,
to.
I understand. I feel like this is off.
Yeah.
That said, usually when it's off like this, like there's something causing it. And we saw Mize at 94.8, not 95 to 96, and at only 15.6 vert as opposed to like 17 and a half, 18, which would explain a little bit of it because then now it's just saying, oh, cool, this is a dead zone fastball, like the average mile per hour. Sure, you have 7 feet of extension, but like that's not enough. While the slider actually performed well yesterday. It had it had 41% CSW was his most thrown pitch. And I'm going, oh, what? Did you find
Mm.
finally? Like he didn't really throw the four seamer or the splitter much.
I've got some 96s for the
Okay.
25th, so yesterday.
Yeah.
I've got some 90. Yeah, I mean 94.9, 94, 193.7, 93.8. But he hit 96, 95.8. Oh, he kind of got it going.
Okay, so it's scaled up.
Yeah, in the fifth inning it was 94.9, 95.6. In the seventh inning it was 95.8, 94.8, 96.0.
Okay.
So maybe it was because he also, I think he came into the
Bullpen.
game.
Yeah, it was from the
Yeah,
bullpen and everything too.
I
That's
would
good
say
to
that was a
hear.
little bit weird. I would
Yeah.
say that was a weird appearance for him, but generally 18 inches of vert on the four seam with a 96 mile an hour average and a 6.9 extension. I would say that that's a pretty good pitch, especially if he has a sinker that he
Mm-hmm.
throws, off of that. So I think he's pushed the four seam about as far as it can go. I think one of the only worries I have is, he's throwing a couple sliders. The slider average, I don't think tells the whole story because he says he's throwing 3 sliders.
Oh
So
man.
he's throwing a gyro slider. He's throwing like a Marcus Stroman like sort of power curve, and then he's throwing a sweeper. And the sweeper is split out, but the slider just has one big glob, and it says it's 86.5 with kind of gyro movement. Maybe he can do that. He was throwing one pitch that's like 90 miles an hour, and I do get a little bit worried. It's Gavin Williams does that too with the power slider.
Right.
It's the DeGrom power slider. I'm not an expert in that in matters of health. I feel like that is such a big deal that I don't want to just like raise alarms when I shouldn't, but I do get a little nervous myself if I start to see a ton of 90-mile-an-hour sliders.
I mean, I
Uh,
think with extension, it's okay. Like it
yeah,
can work a lot. And honestly, for Mize, like
it's not quite 90. It's
it
like
doesn't need to be
80.
amazing. It
Yeah,
just needs to be something like, hey, cool, can you get strikes with us? All right, thanks.
right.
Because like he has a splitter which is looking
And he's
better than
gotten
it used to.
39% whiff rate this spring on
Okay,
63 sliders. Like that's good
that
news.
works.
That's why we're excited, because
Yeah.
the splitter is good. The four seam he's pushed to a good level. He's got the four seam and the sinker. The sinker was his old pitch, so he can throw
Mm,
that. So
yeah, right.
he's
And you
got
know
the best overall mix he's ever had.
the pitcher that he reminds me the most of, right? So I kind of get them both confused because they both start with the letter C,
Hmm?
which is Chris Paddock.
Oh my
Because
God, that's my last guy.
no surprises here.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about guys who have never shown a good breaking ball and
Yeah.
have pushed the fastball as far as they can. I mean, the Paddock is right up there with McGill in spring stuff. Plus, he is averaging 94.5 for the whole
Yep.
spring,
Yep.
which is pretty good for him. 18 inches of vertical movement on the four seam. I think
And
that's one
7
of the
feet of
best
extension.
ever.
It's like one tick lower from Mize,
And the question is, does he have his changeup back? I don't know what the answer is because his changeups are finicky. It's hard to look at the numbers and figure it out. 24% whiff rate on 53 changeups is not vintage Paddock,
Right.
but 47% whiff rate on 48 curveballs. If he has finally found a breaking ball that works
Oh
for him,
man.
the slider has a 14% whiff rate. It's
It is
not
not
good.
it is not real that thing. Yeah, just ignore that completely. That
I mean, he's
slider.
not a good spinner. He doesn't spin
Right.
it well, but
He's
he
Casey
has
Mize.
worked on the curveball the longest. The curveball is
Right.
the thing he's worked on the longest.
Yeah, yeah. I remember him actually talking about being excited about that one in like 2018 or 19.
Yeah, right. We're old. We can remember
Yeah, I remember
these
him being like
things.
coming, or maybe it was even entering 2020. He's like, no, I really worked on my curveball. It's gonna be, I'm like, it's the same pitch.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
But
yeah,
I mean, everything works better if you're 95 with
right.
the fastball, and I feel the vibes for me is he's pitching for his life. He can see that, like, there were already rumbles that he might go to the pen this year.
Oh man.
Because they
Well, I
have
mean,
Festa and Zebi, and like
yeah,
you can
right.
see
Same
all
with
these people
Richardson
coming.
is the first one there.
Yeah,
But right, I'm with you. I mean, like, yeah, that's a great call there with Paddock. I'm very curious. And also, by the way, hey, he gets the White Sox and then at Seattle. Um,
it's a pretty good
I love that.
beginning.
I think that's right. I mean, it's two amazing matchups for both Mize and Paddock. I keep getting them confused because of the same guy. Just kidding. I'm going to throw some rapid
If you had to
fire
pick
at you.
one and maybe
Yeah.
have some upside,
Mize is the one I would go for
Mize.
because it's more of a
Okay,
complete
yeah,
arsenal. I think you're
yeah,
on the
yeah.
same page with me
I
there.
agree. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I would. It's just a quick rapid fire of things that I'm looking forward to. Landon Rupp's four seamer. I'm just curious to see how he uses that because he gets a surprising amount of whiffs on it, I believe, from the one data point that we had. But he keeps getting strikeouts, and I think he's actually utilizing it well. So I'm just
Yeah,
curious to
and
see what the whole arsenal looks like for him.
that like gyro slider cutter thing has been
Oh yeah,
he's threw out a lot, and it looks like it can be a bread and butter pitch, I think.
and then you have Richard Fitz's slider. Like, how good is it? Is it like I remember watching the game but not getting data and thinking like this is really good. I think so. I cannot wait to see that really go fully. I want to mention that Tristan McKenzie's curveball had a 198.5 PLV stuff plus across the two he threw yesterday in relief. I thought that was funny.
Richard Fitz has thrown 18
Yeah.
fastballs at 96 miles an hour and has not gotten a single whiff.
Really?
That's interesting.
That's
Those
surprising.
Are tracked.
Huh. I'm actually shocked
I think
about
he's
that
a
one.
good. I think he fits in my head as like Garrett Whitlock's. Everyone thinks just like injured now, but like a Garrett Whitlock where it's like good secondaries, not a good fastball, and maybe the Red Sox will be like just throw just barely enough fastballs and it'll work, and maybe this is the right place for him to be.
Well, the good thing is that he throws 6 pitches, so
Yeah.
he can certainly finagle that, and yeah, that's a really good point. I'm surprised to hear that though about the whiffs. Maybe it could honestly be location and timing, and I could extract it because it is an extension pitch. It is good enough vert. Velocity is obviously there. It's not to me, from what I've seen at least, it doesn't feel like it's that kind of movement that would
But
not
it's not
result
a,
in
I mean,
whips, right? But maybe the
I
arm
mean,
angle is what I'm missing here.
15.7
Oh,
inches of
that's not what
vertical
I've
movement.
seen.
I
Oh
mean,
no.
that's just what is on Savant right now. And it's only
Hmm.
18 pitches, so let's see what here. It's probably all one start.
We had a second game of it
No, it's two
yesterday.
starts. Two starts. It's only 228 and 314. But I mean, it is 18 pitches, and it fits my preconceived motion. So my notion of my narrative for him,
There we
which
go.
is bad fastball, good secondaries.
Man, I could have sworn I saw better than that. All right. Well, there was. Oh yeah. So you pitched in the Mexican League on Monday, and that was 17.6 IVB. That's what
That's
we
way
have with
better.
35 fastballs thrown, four seamers.
How do you have that? That's not in Savant.
I don't know, but I do. I have it here. I have that game 96 mph four seamers. He threw them 50% of the time against lefties, 26 against righties. This is an
That's
RPO
better than
Pro
what
app.
we have. Savant has 15.7 on IVB. So I mean, just generally, hey, step back. His fastball is that was the no. You said you were worried about the slider. For me, the fastball is the intriguing pitch because I'm not sure it's good, and the velo's been up, but that velo hasn't been super consistent. So it's like, and you're saying you got 17 IVB in one place, and here it's 15. So the shape and the velo are inconsistent on the fastball.
Is it the location that's messing it up?
Maybe
it's possible. But yeah, I'm just curious. Let's just say we're just curious about this.
Okay. Calibration because you're talking about Mexican League information, right?
Absolutely. And then the last one, I'll say. I mean, I'm just curious about Drew Rasmussen in general. I can't wait because I have no hard data. I think on Rasmussen, like none. They've hidden him completely, but they've just said great things. But no, the pitch that I'm most excited about this year, the one that I've gotten barely any data on, that I feel is a game changer for this pitcher, who I already liked, but now I'm just like, my bold prediction is going to come true, and that is Robbie Ray's changeup. Oh my gosh, 118 PLV stuff plus for us, and
it looked pretty good. I watched his last start,
and if he's
Robbie
actually
tight
having
pants.
this pitch against right-handers that limits home runs, bam! I mean, that's the last piece of the puzzle really for Robbie Ray. So I'm stoked about this.
It's the Tarek Skubal. He's through 16 tracked ones with 10 inches of arm side movement, which is only 2 inches more than his four seam. So it's not good by that. But 11.6 inches vertical, and his four seam is 18.9. So he's a good fastball guy. And that is 7 to 8 inches of vertical movement. That's, I would say, a round average. But even if, let's say, he has an average changeup, that would be a big deal.
Yeah, exactly. If you can get strikes with this,
yeah,
is really the question. Can you just get enough strikes with it? Like 60%? Yeah, great. We're good. I mean, that will help him reduce home runs off the four seamer.
His biggest red spot is middle. But again, he got a lot of juice out of that sinker for a while just by throwing something different, because he's so four seam slider. Everyone's locked in on that. So even middle average changeups, especially if maybe the movement is moving in a direction that would reduce the homers. Maybe I can do this for us real quick. We have expected home run rate.
Oh man, we do too. We haven't made it public yet, but yeah, I'm essentially going to be assigning that to everything. I can't wait.
I've got it by pitch 2, and whoa. Oh, that's by pitching plus 1.5 homers per 9 or whatever. That's not good.
No.
But by stuff plus 0.899. So
all right, we'll take that.
Did not locate it well. Like I said, down the middle. But it says it will give up fewer homers by shape than his slider.
That's good too.
Yeah,
we'll take that. So Robbie Ray's changeup, can't wait to see that one in action. I think he's pitching the third game. Webb, then Verlander, then Ray. Can't wait to see it. And you gotta say, of all the pitching matchups, all the starters, not just the pitches anymore. Tell me the one pitcher that you can be like, stop, Mom, I gotta watch this right now. Who is it?
I think it's just gonna be Roki until I figure out
Yeah,
what
I
I
know.
think of
I
him.
knew it. I in my
It's
head,
just
I'm
like
like,
I
he's gonna be
can't.
Roki, isn't he?
Yeah, it's fascinating to me that he has all these like good qualities and all these bad qualities. It's it's like
Yeah.
he could not be good.
Yeah.
He could be a high velo flameout. I mean, like we've had guys like this before that just weren't as good as we thought they'd be when we read the radar gun.
It's I call them a P's. PEAS. Poor execution, awesome stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I
yeah,
am
I
excited
hope
about
that he
Graham
nails it.
Ashcraft in the pen too.
Oh, he's such a P's.
I want to see him. I want to see him close because you know what his ERA is through the order. It's
Oh
like
no.
it's like a 3 the first time through the order, and it's like a 5 the second time through the order. Which like your second time you're supposed to be able to handle this, dude, and then it's like an 8 the third time through.
Like, oh, I see why. There's worse coming. Okay.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I'm like, screw second time through order. Here we go. And I just like in terms of temperament and stuff, and he only has 2 pitches, like just be 99 out of the pen with like
Yeah, I know.
like an 89-mile-an-hour sweeper. How many people could say they were like that, dude? Like
Yeah, I mean, he couldn't locate when starting. So I'm ready. No. I'm what I'm saying is that you might be able to get away with being effectively wild more, especially if you're throwing harder.
oh yeah.
So
He could do
actually,
the
like, I
Diaz
wonder
thing
if
to be like
there's a
walk him, strike out the next guy. I think his strikeout rate will go up. He'll get some
yeah.
double plays because it's that cutter is his primary pitch.
I
He's my favorite in the pen. I
have
don't
a
like
stupid
Taylor
idea here.
Rogers. So I don't. Yeah. What is
I have a
it?
stupid idea that there are certain pitchers that either you have the best command, or like your best version of command, and your worst command, and it's a reverse bell curve of success. So like when you're at your point of having okay enough command and okay enough chaos, it's actually worse for you because guys get comfortable in the box and able to hit that terrible command. But when it's so bad, it's like Hayden Birdsong. It's like they can't hit it when it is a strike. They don't know when it's coming, where it's going.
Effectively wild.
Exactly. So he needs to be more effectively wild. Okay. And if that means by adding extra velo, he's just even more all over the place, works for closer.
I think he could be devastating if you just
Yeah.
this guy doesn't know what he's doing and where he's going and is 99 with a 90-mile-an-hour sweeper even. Do it.
My gosh.
90-mile-an-hour sweeper. I don't think we've seen one.
Oh man.
Probably not good for you.
No. But does Graham Ashcraft care anymore?
Again, these things all become more viable the closer you are to being like, oh, I may not have a job otherwise.
Right. Anyway, I'm ready to watch Jacob deGrom dominate. That's the one for me. I can't wait for that. And it's just like, oh.
And we have to deal with a day of no baseball. Read up. Make sure all your lineups are set. Be prepared.
That's right, guys.
Tomorrow. Watch a little basketball if you have to. Or
no,
hey,
okay, stop.
Take the wife out. Take the wife and kids out and be like, I won't see you guys for a while. Let's go.
Let's go
have a nice meal.
Wow, you do my accent perfectly. It's amazing. All right, thank you so much for joining me today on this episode. One more time, remind everybody what you're up to and where they can find your stuff.
Rates and Barrels is having the live shows at Bear Bottle on Thursday and Friday. The show starts at 4:30. We'll be there before that. And you'll find me on Nick's live stream tomorrow. I've got bold predictions up, and I've got a fun story that I'm putting together for next week. Ooh. About, I always wanted to do this. I'm not doing this. I'm doing something like it, but I always wanted to trace Tyler Clippard's splitter grip through baseball.
Oh, that's fun. The grip tree.
Because he had at some point he did teach. He got taught from somebody, and he taught Kirby Yates, I think. And he taught. There was like a Angels closer for a while that had it. So I had this all lined up, but then it just disappeared. This I think I have a pitch that I can grip that I can from inception.
Oh man.
To now. I can trace how everybody learned it. There's one pitcher I haven't figured out how he learned it. I've talked to him about it. I have to go find the Instagram because he said he saw it on Instagram. So.
Can I guess?
What pitch
I
don't
want
to talk. No.
No. You got a good poker face. I'll play poker with you.
No.
No, he doesn't. Okay.
I don't have a good.
I'm going to do it off air. Guys, in the comments right now, make sure you put in your guess, and you'll see how we like next week.
It might be obvious, but it'll still be.
I don't know if it's obvious. I had to sit there and think about it. There's one pitch I've heard in like whispers that I'm learning this pitch. It's a very unique pitch. I don't know. We'll see.
You
You gotta tune in next week, guys. And of course, you gotta tune into opening day. If you're listening right now and baseball is on and you're watching it on MLB.tv, what are you doing? Stop watching it there. Come to playback.tv/pitchwest. Watch that same game with the entire community. It's amazing. Stop watching baseball alone, guys. All right. So playback.tv/pitchwest. I'll see you guys there tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon, 2:45 p.m. Eastern time. But that is it. So on the behalf of Eno Sarris, my wonderful guys, thank you for being here. My name is Nick Pollack, and we'll talk about the craft of pitching again next week.